I woke to the sound of something ripping through the morning, a mechanical roar that felt less like a routine delivery and more like an invasion at my doorstep. When the glass in my sunroom started shaking, really shaking, I knew this wasn't garbage pickup, this was something heavier, something deliberate. I stepped out onto the porch in worn jeans and a t-shirt, and there they were, 3 massive construction trucks gleaming under the rising light, each stamped with the polished, self-important logo of the Willow Creek Estates HOA, Veronica Thorne's personal fleet. They rolled straight past the stone markers my late wife Sarah and I had placed 15 years ago, crushing into Lot 47B, my land, tearing through rosemary hedges and irrigation lines like they meant nothing. No notice, no warning, not even a knock, just engines grinding everything down. My home sits on the edge of Willow Creek, 2 acres we bought before the subdivision swallowed the land, with a small house, a greenhouse, and a garden where I still grow Sarah's heirloom tomatoes. That garden wasn't just soil, it was the last piece of peace I had left. I stormed forward, fists clenched, shouting over the engines, but the foreman barely looked at me, brushing me off with a lazy gesture and saying they were clearing space for a so-called community access corridor approved by the HOA president. On my land. I yelled that they were trespassing, but my voice was drowned out as a grader carved a deep trench straight through my basil patch, the same one my daughter used to help water when she was small. Gone in seconds. I rushed inside, grabbed the HOA directory, and called Veronica directly. She answered with that practiced sweetness, but the moment I said my name, it vanished. I told her her trucks were destroying my property, and after a long, cold pause, she laughed, calmly claiming that section was now part of a community easement approved months ago. I told her I had checked my deed, that the land was mine, but she dismissed me with slick jargon about master plans and long-term value, as if that made it right. I hung up before my anger got the better of me, but the feeling settling in wasn't just anger, it was cold and focused. If she wanted a fight, she had picked the wrong person. I drove straight to the county registrar's office with my original deed, and with the clerk's help, we compared it against official records. The result was clear, my property was untouched, no easement, no change, everything still legally mine. That confirmation was all I needed. When I returned home, the machines were still tearing through my land, marking it like it already belonged to them. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the damaged greenhouse, listening to water drip from broken pipes, and pulled out my old drafting tools, the same ones I had used years ago as a combat engineer. If she wanted to play games with lines on a map, I would answer in a way she couldn't ignore. By morning, I had a plan, something completely legal but impossible to overlook, a structure designed to make a statement. When they came back the next day, I watched as they rolled over what little remained of my garden, and something inside me snapped into place. Then the backhoe hit the irrigation line I had repaired years ago, ripping it free and sending water shooting high into the air, flooding the ground beneath their machines. Within minutes, the soil turned to mud, and their trucks sank deep, trapped by the very land they were trying to claim. I laughed, genuinely, for the first time in days. My garden had become their downfall. Veronica arrived shortly after, furious, trying to assert control, accusing me of interference, but I calmly pointed out the obvious, they were still trespassing and now causing significant damage. For a moment, I saw fear in her eyes before she masked it with threats of legal action and stormed off. That afternoon, I worked non-stop, building the structure I had planned, steel panels, motion lights, and at its center, the flag I had carried through years of service, now raised as a statement of ownership, not conflict. I reached out to a contact in zoning who confirmed an obscure legal protection for veteran memorial structures, giving me complete authority over what I had built. I gathered evidence, photos, recordings, documents, and sent everything to local officials and the press. By the next day, the structure stood complete, a clear message facing directly toward the HOA. Neighbors who had once stayed silent began stepping forward, offering support, sharing their own frustrations, and standing with me. When Veronica attempted her final move through legal threats, I met her team with official documents proving my rights, leaving them with no ground to stand on. The shift was immediate, the power she once held slipping away as the community turned against her. Investigations followed, uncovering deeper issues within the HOA, and within months, everything she had built unraveled. She left quietly, without support, without acknowledgement. I repaired what I could, planting new life where damage had been done, but the structure remained, not just for me, but for anyone who had ever been pushed aside or ignored. It became more than a boundary, it became a reminder that standing your ground matters. And now I think about it, when someone crosses that line, do you respond calmly and hope for fairness, or do you stand firm with undeniable truth, even if it tears down everything they built to control you?